So Riot Games has revealed another new champion from Zaun. That's right, it's time to do it.
I am once again asking
how this new champion can fit into Arcane Season 2.
Renata Glasc is the newest champion to be introduced to the world of Runeterra, a support fighter who is going to be extremely interesting for League of Legends players to have to deal with. Dubbed the Chem Baroness, she ironically comes out just after the Chem Dragon was removed from League of Legends, so great timing there, Riot. Renata looks like a really fun champion. She has a very unique ability that allows her to make the enemy team fight amongst themselves, which is really cool. And she also has, oh god damn it, a fucking revive passive, are you kidding me? But in looking at her abilities and her lore, the first thing that jumped out to me was, yeah, we gotta talk about Renata in Arcane Season 2. And yes, I am going to be referring to her as Renata, not Renata Glasc. I know that's her full name, but we call him Graves, not Malcolm Graves. I'm just gonna call her Renata. That is her name. And I know I did this before with Zeri, and people were quick to point out that yes, Riot does plan these champion releases out months and years in advance, so it's very unlikely that this champion was in response to the success of Arcane Season 1. At the time they were developing Renata, they didn't know if there would even be a Season 2 or if Arcane would even be a success. But I have to think that the fact that there are not one but two champions released directly after Arcane ended related to the setting of Arcane is no coincidence. Like Zeri, Renata's bio doesn't have any direct references to the events of Arcane or any of the characters, but looking at her bio, it's really easy to see where she could fit into Season 2 as the main antagonist. To give a quick recap of where we are at the end of Arcane Season 1, Silco, the main crime boss of Zaun, is dead. Jinx, his adopted daughter who killed him, is about to blow up the Council of Piltover and therefore incite what looks to be an all-out war between Zaun and Piltover. The crime families of Zaun are scattered after one of them was killed by Silco for attempting to betray him. As a result, right now there is a vacuum of power in Zaun and potentially one in Piltover. And this chaos and power vacuum in both Zaun and Piltover provides a very unique opportunity for Riot Games to potentially center Renata Glasc as the main antagonist of Arcane Season 2. From her bio, Renata Glasc was a girl who grew up in Zaun, the daughter of two very successful alchemists. But while they were successful in alchemy, they were not so successful in business, as they were a bit too charitable to give away their creations and healing potions to those around them who needed help, whether or not they could pay. This meant that Renata grew up very poor and hungry, often resentful at her parents that they were so lax at giving away their potions and not providing enough for her and the rest of the family. Using her business acumen, Renata helped her parents found a corporation which they used to sell their potions and healing elixirs to the wealthier people of Zaun. Yes, in this world there are actually wealthy families in Zaun, and began to expand a little empire. Unfortunately, this didn't sit well with other clans in Zaun who saw this as a threat to their businesses, and as a result, Renata's parents were killed and she lost an arm when their home was burned down. In the aftermath, Renata used her inheritance and the remainder of her family's research to recruit some of the brightest young, starving minds of Zaun to help recreate her parents' formula and create Glasc Industries. This corporation spread across Zaun with a fervor as she began to recruit other clan members to work with her, and also began expanding her business into Piltover. So who is Renata? Well, she's an extremely cunning and ruthless businesswoman. While she doesn't possess qualities of traditional strength like physical ability or scientific mind, she is incredibly cunning and has used that to create an empire of selling chemicals to the people of Zaun and even the people of Piltover. So it is quite odd that Riot would decide to create a brand new character who basically has the same story as Silco, instead of just using Silco the character, somebody that fans from the show would know very well, and fans from League would be able to embrace very quickly. From a gameplay perspective, it's not as though Renata's abilities are something that Silco himself couldn't replicate, and it's not as though him dying would necessarily preclude him from being in League of Legends, considering there have been any other undead or thought to be dead champions in League of Legends. So the decision to make a brand new champion, Renata, who possesses a lot of the same qualities as Silco with a different backstory, must mean that there is some sort of a plan for her. And I think that plan has everything to do with Arcane Season 2. I think that in the aftermath of the events of Arcane Season 1, the power vacuum in Zaun will be swept up by Renata and Glasc Industries. Renata seems like an obvious pairing with Singed. She seems like she would be an easy adversary for somebody like Victor or Echo to oppose, and given that Glasc Industries has expanded into Piltover, it would make it a very easy connection for Caitlyn and Vi to be on her case, trying to stop her as Glasc Industries begins to threaten the rest of Zaun and Piltover. In reading her bio, I think it's much more likely that we will get a Renata appearance in Arcane Season 2 than a Zeri appearance. I think she would be tailor-made to fit the same role that Silco possessed in Season 1, but like any good sequel, she would up the power because she has this great industry behind her. There could be a lot more exploration of things like corruption. It could be a great opportunity to look at how corporations can sometimes legitimize criminal enterprises and often be a cover for them. And given that one of Renata's abilities in League of Legends actually causes her enemies to fight each other, I think we could see a storyline where she's developing some sort of biological weapon, maybe that will cause the people of Zaun to go crazy and attack each other, sort of like in the Kingsman or any other sort of zombie movie. But what do you think? Is it more likely that we're going to see Renata, Zeri, or none of the above in Arcane Season 2? Let me know in the comments, and click over here to subscribe to the channel.